All right. So, like I said, I've talked a lot about being a proponent of women's sports and just giving them respect because they made it was a grind for them. I mean, Title IX was signed in 1972. Uh, and basically it reads it prohibits sex, including pregnancy, sexual orientation, gender identity, discrimination, any education program or activity receiving federal financial assistance.
Hmm.
And I understand that sports world is supposed to be this outlet for people to join in and have realistic competition. I'm a Falcons fan. I have friends that are Saints fans, and Panthers fans, and we a lot of take these jabs at each other. Mike's a Commanders fan. We talk about what team is going to be worse. Uh, we have our debates about sports, and I literally have a whole podcast to talk about sports. So like, I understand that it's supposed to be inclusive, but in the same sense, we got to be realistic and we got to be able to say things out loud that make sense. If you are a boy and you transition and you made that decision, your family's made that decision, and you transition to be a woman, I understand it's I can't empathize, but I can see that could be a very stressful part of your life. And it takes a lot. It takes a lot of toll on you mentally. It takes a lot of toll on your family. It takes a lot of adjusting, and it takes a lot of accepting from the people, probably within your family, your community, your friend group, whatever the case may be. And it's a lot of hurdles to get over, and I understand that. And I don't want to limit anyone who's going through that first and foremost. But with that being said, that doesn't mean that you get to ignore that there is an advantage when someone is biologically male and they're competing against in the individual women's sports. Swimming, running, any kind of throwing, any feats of strength competitions, any body weight lift, any heavyweight lifting competitions, you know, hand to hand combat. I mean, biological men fighting biological women as trans women in MMA fights. I'm not trying to be dismissive, but I have really big hands. If I were to transition, these hands don't change size. I'm 245 pounds. I'm probably gonna in a fist fight, I would probably beat up right now. I'd probably beat up a 240-pound woman. And I'm not trying to be dismissive of that, but that's the reality of how I'm physically built. My legs, thighs, feet, hands are big. My knuckles are big. My shoulders are big. If I were to, you have Leah Thomas transition uh, and was on the swim team at Penn, you know, broke records and beat out biological women in this race. And it's like, this is a 6'5" transgender woman. 6'5". How many 6'5" girls are swimmers? Just that advantage in and of itself is a realistic advantage. Floyd Mayweather would never get in the ring with Mike Tyson, and they're both men because Mike Tyson has a physical advantage over him because he outweighs him by 30 or 40, 50 pounds, maybe not more when they're walking around weight. John Bones Jones doesn't fight a featherweight in MMA matches. He fights someone who's physically matches up with him. There's nothing wrong with acknowledging, like, listen, we need you to be physically equal in order to compete. You can't just allow people to have these advantages and then act as if it's not an advantage because you don't want to hurt somebody's feelings. Don't bring feelings to a facts fight. Be honest. Women's sports are for women. And I know it can be upsetting to hear it this way, but you can have teenage boys who just decide that I want to transition and do nothing other than decide I want to transition and they go run races with all of their everything, like no pills, is just a decision that I want to transition. Okay, cool. You can't compete with girls because you want to transition. I know it's controversial, but let's be realistic. If I literally just put a wig on, it doesn't be, and I'm not like, I'm not trying to be dismissive, but like if I did nothing else to change my body other than say out loud, this is what I want to be, and then sign myself up for a women's competition, like I'm still a man competing with women. So I don't want our show to get canceled, but I also don't want to sit here and just act as if we're going to talk about respecting women's sports and giving shout outs to all these women and wearing, female athletes jerseys and shirts and supporting them financially by buying NBA, WNBA gear and things of that nature and not have an honest conversation. You have to be honest. It is not a fair fight if a biological man fights a woman in a cage match. It's not even fair if John Bones Jones fought Floyd Mayweather in a cage match. The skill level is not there. The size difference is not there. It's a realistic conversation. So we can have the conversation about why we have weight classes and why a guy can't even fight. If Ryan Garcia would have came into the ring overweight, he wouldn't have fought Javante Davis. And Javante Davis is strong enough to beat him, but because he didn't match up physically to the parameters of the contract that they had set, he wouldn't have been able to fight him because it would have been an unfair advantage for Ryan Garcia. But how is it not an unfair advantage for uh, a boy named Ryan to race against girls simply because they want to transition? Like I just think it has to be addressed, and we have to be able to have honest conversation. You can get mad at honest conversations, but just quantify and qualify to me. Tell me where I'm off out of bounds. In a physical confrontation, Layla Ali would never have fought Lennox Lewis. That's all I'm saying. Let's be realistic.